Okay, I estimate that we'll have a few other people joining us, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time, so we're going to go ahead and kick off. Greetings, my name is Gordon Flake. I'm the CEO of the Perth USAsia Center, and I'm delighted to welcome everyone to this online information session around the second session, the second term of our micro-credential course on Australia and the Indo-Pacific, understanding our strategic connections to Asia. I think many of you who are on this call will be familiar with the Perth USAsia Center and our work. But speaking of connections to our region, I'm actually calling in today from Seoul, where I'm attending an Asia Leadership Conference. Our keynote today, our featured guest, Dr. Lisa Cluett, and I were actually in Bangladesh last week in Dhaka for the Indian Ocean Conference. And so a useful reminder of the breadth and the many connections that we do have in this region. This is a recorded session. The intent is to answer questions that people have about the course, which kicks off for its second term or second session next month in June. More details that will be provided by Dr. Lisa Cluett. But we're very fortunate to have Lisa share her time with us. The Perth USAsia Center does a lot of work, research papers, roundtables, large public conferences, etc. And in a new development, our Director of External Affairs, Dr. Lisa Cluett, has decided to make something that's a little bit more lasting, something that's actually credentialed, and that is helpful for the broader community. An effort to put together all the information that we at the Perth USAsia Center have amalgamated over the course of the last decade of our programs and put it together in such a way that it will be useful for individuals, for institutions, for those who are interested in the Indo-Pacific and our strategic credentials. Lisa will explain far more than that, but we're really fortunate to have Lisa in the role that she occupies at the center and her leadership, and more importantly, her long experience in the university sector, particularly at UWA, married together with her experience in this foreign policy think tank. I think has put together an offering that's not available anywhere else, and so we're delighted. Lisa, thank you. Thanks for your work on this. This is a little bit different than where you and I were, 5 months ago when we were doing an information session for round one. In some respects, the proof is in the pudding. We've done it once, and so we have a sense. And so this is a chance for you to explain to a new audience with actually a full session under your belt about what this micro-credential course is. And so I'll welcome you, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for joining. I'm hoping you're able to ask questions in the chat if you have any, but Gordon's going to ask me questions shortly. He's right, this is the second time we've run this course, so it's a great time to be joining because we've done it once and we've learned a few things, and we're going to do it again starting next month. The main question I get from potential participants essentially centers on the same thing, which is how does it work? So I'm going to quickly share some slides if that's working. Really, it's fully online, it's 8 weeks, it's doable completely at your own pace. There is no time where you are required to attend class or be online at a particular time. So you can see there it's asynchronous. So every Monday morning, new content will be released, and you can do that at any time that week or catch up as you need to. So if you like to get things done, you can get in there and do the class content that Monday, that Tuesday. But from last time, I saw a lot of people were waiting till the next weekend or even the weekend after that to be doing a couple of weeks worth of stuff at once. So each week you'll see about an hour's worth of video content, and that is broken up into 5 or 6 minute segments. So you'll see lots of different type of people speaking, lots of different presenters, and there'll be bits of reading, bits of podcasts, bits of news clips, bits of instructional video. And then what happens is we ask you to do 4 things, and they're fairly straightforward. There are online discussion boards and there are online tutorials where you are welcome to ask questions and complete the tasks. And that's really when you get to other participants as well. Right at the end of the 8 weeks, there is a final assessment, which is multiple choice quiz. There's 24 questions and you need to get 20 right to pass and get your certificate. So there's no essays, there's no short answer questions, there's no marks for class participation. It's a course that builds your knowledge gradually as you go. There are practice questions as you go, so you know what to expect. And by the end of it, you will be able to pass that quiz fairly confidently. As you can see there's 8 sessions, starting off with context. What is the Indo-Pacific and how does it work and why does anyone care? Coming all the way through key themes of economics and trade and security and other key themes Australia's grappling with, like clean energy and education and that kind of thing. And then move to the future focused stuff. So what happens next and who does Australia need to be working with? So ultimately, as someone doing the course, you'll get emails fairly frequently from me. You'll see Gordon on the screen a lot, and you'll have access. You'll have access to us to ask us questions as we go. But there's no need, there's no class to join or anything like that. So you don't need to take any leave from work. You can do it at your own pace whenever suits you. Inside each of these sessions, there's basically 2 parts, like I said. One of them is a video. You can see, wow, see Gordon twice. Gordon is one of our speakers, but there are lots and lots of speakers. So lots of different people, ambassadors, experts, government people, industry people, explaining key concepts to you about Asia and the Indo-Pacific. And then there'll be tasks that you're asked to do. And again, these are all very practical and applied. So you'll be able to look for an article in the news you think is useful. You'll be able to apply new terms. It's all very doable in a practical sense, and things that can take you, that are going to continue to be useful in your regular work life. Feedback from the first course was really exactly what I wanted. People find it very doable, very useful, very applicable. I really like the downloadable resources. And really, I got great feedback on the types of interaction that participants got with each other. It's very supported and it's very useful. So look, in essence, you can do it whenever you want. It's very useful and applicable. It's good value, and it will really work in your real life. So I think that covers most of the typical questions I get. I'm happy now to answer anything else if you want. And also, if anyone who's on the call now wants to pop a question in the chat, we can answer any questions you've got now.
Well, thank you, Lisa. This information session is intended to kind of be a quick overview. I have a number of questions that were submitted in advance by people who have registered for today. But for those of you who are online right now, again, as Lisa suggested, if you've got any specific questions, feel free to pop it in the chat box and I'll make sure I raise them. But to begin with, and some of these you've kind of answered already, but it's good to be explicit, Lisa. Nicole asks us, are there any of the activities that cannot be done remotely?
So no, in short, no. In short, you can do this anytime you want, as long as you've got an internet connection, and that's all that's needed, really. There are all sorts of activities that ask you to maybe go and watch a documentary and come back, so you can do it. It is mobile enabled as well, so you should be able to do it on a phone or a tablet, that kind of thing. So really, as long as you've got the internet, you should be okay.
So look, I understand the course is largely intended for an Australian audience to understand, as the title suggests, our strategic connections with the region, with the Indo-Pacific. That means you can sit on the beach in Bali and do it, or you can huddle in the Blue Mountains and do it, or be down in Margaret River and doing it, however you want to. That makes sense. Another question that came through, Lisa, is from Joe, and he wanted to know he wanted to make it clear how many sessions there were and how the sequencing of it worked.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, the way we've set it up is that you get the content weekly. So it's not, you don't get in the course and see a whole stretch of things that look like they're never ending. You get a batch every week, so it feels quite doable. And what I noticed last time is kind of like I said, I can see people get in there Monday morning, and by sort of Tuesday night, they're happy and they're in the discussion boards. But other people were really, maybe they were away or they had other things happening. And really by week 3, they were working on week 1 materials, and that is completely fine. It just means everybody's doing it at a slightly different pace. Obviously, by the end of the 8 weeks, when the final assessment is made available, you've got another 2 weeks where the course is open, where you kind of need to catch up and have a go at the quiz. So it's really open for 10 weeks. I mean, we've all done online learning, right? Where you just kind of, it seems to escape you and you can't believe how time has gone by. But you can't really pass the quiz by guessing. That's the other thing I've noticed. It does really test your knowledge of the materials. So core materials are the class materials that come out every Monday. You can tell that people who have a little bit of a go at the discussion boards, and again, it's not that much of a commitment, but people who are kind of practicing as they go typically fly through the course a bit better than people who've had 2 goes at it and then like, oh, I think I need another go.
So for those of you who are interested in a mid-career and it's been a while since you actually did your studies, yes, it's possible to do the same type of procrastination that you actually did when you were in school, which is kind of, and then rush towards the end. But certainly it's better. Lisa, could you talk a little bit about what the time commitment is on a weekly basis and then on the course overall?
Sure. So to be a micro-credential, we have to deliver a certain amount of content that essentially gets you the 2 credit points at a university. So it has to be a particular length. How I've broken that down is there's about an hour's worth of class content every week. So it's delivered to you in an interactive video format. And you hit play on that. You might watch 2 or 3 short clips of a video, and then there'll be a piece of reading. And I'll always say, oh, this reading is probably going to take you 10 minutes to read. So if you know that you've got a meeting in 5 minutes, you can just pause there and you just come back to it. So as long as you work through that hour's worth of content sometime during that week, then that's the class content. Then there's these 4 tasks that people are asked to do. And again, it's something fairly doable. I always try and say how long it would take. This should take you 20 minutes to go and find a media article relating to this and just post the link in the discussion board and say what you thought of it. So again, if you're going, oh, well, actually, I've got quite a lot of time this evening, I can do 2 or 3 things and I'll move on. So it's all very like a jigsaw puzzle that you can do a bit of as you go. It's not as if you have to kind of take a deep breath and sit there and watch someone talk at you for 50 minutes. It's a very style delivery. So you get lots of different people to listen to, lots of different bits to do and read. So it's quite bite-sized in the way it's delivered.
Sounds like it's tailor-made for the busy era in which we live.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about the type of people who take the course? Who's it designed for?
Sure. Well, essentially, because it's a micro-credential, these types of courses are basically designed for professionals. So people who are either trying to get on in the job they've got now or look to change jobs, or who find themselves in a role where, our interactions with the Indo-Pacific are becoming more and more important. So I have found so far that they are from all sectors and they know all sorts of different things about Asia and the Indo-Pacific. There is even some people who thought of themselves as quite specialist have something to learn here, but really it is designed for people with no exposure to Asia relations at all. The idea is that we walk you through from beginning to end, a little bit of context, an overview of where we are now, and a good view of the future. There's really practical resources available as well that are only available in this course, and that includes the glossary. So there's a glossary of terms, there's a guide to security agreements, and a guide to trade agreements. So we filtered through all the noise and tried to make it really accessible and just really simple to say, these are the things I'm dealing with. So basically, they're all busy professionals. People who are in engineering and agriculture and politics and resources companies and teaching, who've just gone, I just need to fill in my knowledge around Australia's relationships overseas. And also people are doing it for their background interest as well. You can't really go very far past a newspaper or a TV screen these days without something about what we're doing in the Indo-Pacific. And people just want to be better informed about how that all fits together.
I should note that a member of our board of directors, a senior executive, actually, took the course and quite enjoyed it and recognized both the rigor and the benefit. We in the Perth USAsia Center have the advantage of thinking and talking about this every day. But even then, what we don't have is kind of the structured approach that Lisa has put together. where you're able to kind of walk through in a sequential area. Because members of my team, some of them might focus deep dive on trade or resources, and others might focus deep dive on environmental issues, security issues. This is designed to give you a pretty broad spread of our relationships in the region. So my guess is, even if you do work already in the sector, is broad enough that there will be a beneficial element to it. Talk a little bit about more of those 3 resources. Those are downloadable and they're only available to members of the course. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we've made them deliberately for this course. So it's probably time I confess that I am not an international relations specialist of any nature. So my job in our centre is to help our centre translate what we do to the outside world. So having been in this centre now for a number of years, I feel very comfortable knowing what people outside want to know and helping them understand what the people inside the centre are saying. So our experts are amazing, but what I've deliberately done is said, no, this is the package that needs to be delivered to people who are coming from all sorts of backgrounds with a general education and general interest. This is what I wish I had. And the first of those was a glossary. So international relations is very, lingo heavy. I find sometimes that once these things start getting strung together, you can lose a lot of people. So, I say, people know what regional means, and most people know what architecture is. But if you want me to tell you what regional architecture is, all of a sudden, it feels like completely alien to me. So things, though, that are commonly used, you see the terms trade coercion in the media. You just saw the Deputy Prime Minister very comfortable with the term rules-based order. So really, I wanted a glossary where I'm like, just tell me one time what this means. And so participants get that in the first week, and then they can write notes on it, because over time that builds in the course, so that really by the end of it, people are much more comfortable with those sorts of terms. So we did a similar thing with a guide to free trade agreements. Again, free trade agreements, very complicated, and who Australia is free trading with is a little bit hard for even experts to keep an eye on. And so we just broke it down. There's one free trade agreement per page, and it tells you when it was started, who it's with, what it does for Australia, and how it's moving forward. So all the basics. And we did the same with security. So these are kind of defence arrangements we have and alliances with other countries. So again, you've got a one-stop shop to say, right, this is our current situation, of what they all mean, what they stand for, because the other thing international relations loves is an acronym. So the shortening of things into this sort of secret language, I've tried to completely break down and say, this is what everything means. So then we've all got a level playing field. And then you can think about and write about and apply these kind of concepts in a much more kind of informed way.
Well, as somebody with an advanced degree in international relations, I've long realized that the last person you want to build your house or build any structure is someone who's kind of just broadly conversant in the theory. It's good to have somebody with a PhD in engineering to actually build a course like this, and it shows that. And so, look, we've kind of wrapped up the core of our content. If there's any of you who are currently on the call, if we haven't hit something you want to, feel free to put in the chat right now. Otherwise, the intent of this is this video will be recorded. It'll be put up there with the other information. We encourage you to share this information broadly, but we think this is extremely useful for a broad audience, whether you're in government, in state government, in the private sector, whether you're just out of graduate studies yourselves. If your business interests or your social interests include this region, we candidly think it's for the community writ large. While we, the Perth USAsia Centre, do a lot of our activities in Western Australia, in Perth, our remit really is national and regional. And a good chunk of everything that we do is about building a community. And so this is a useful resource, because the more informed, the more understanding our community is, we think, the more supportive they will be of our activities, but more importantly, the more supportive they will be of our national and our state efforts to reach out. And so the next time you see the notion that our premier or our deputy premier is heading to the United States or to India or Japan or Korea, or the prime minister, you've seen the news this week that the Quad leaders meeting has been canceled, you'll have a better understanding of what it means and why we're doing these activities at all. So hopefully that'll be helpful on that front.
Exactly.
So don't see any immediate questions. Lisa, anything else that you really want to cover to make sure that people are aware of?
No, look, I think everybody goes into online learning with good intentions, and then lots of things happen to people. So I just kind of want to reassure prospective participants that over the 8 weeks, you'll be able to keep up, you'll fall behind, you'll get ahead, you'll be involved, you won't. All of it is fine. It all works. So work through the class content and pass the quiz. It is eminently doable by all sorts of people. And you've already met me and Gordon, and we are the same people you will see in there. There's not some other mystery amount of people. You'll see me every week. I'm the unit coordinator, and Gordon always kicks off the sessions every week. So you'll hear this kind of tone. It's a very accessible tone. At any time, there's room on the discussion boards or via email to just ask questions and say, can you go over that again? That's exactly what happened last time. And we spend a time in the tutorial going over things that maybe weren't super clear or people wanted to discuss.
So there's two very important things that you just mentioned that we should mention. Number one, there is a very active tutorial. So whether you're on the call right now or whether you're watching this on the website later on, this is not your only chance to ask a question. There's a very open channel of communications from our wonderful team who puts this together. But then we will have we'll have tutorials throughout the course where you'll, during the course, have a chance to kind of interact with me, with my other colleagues in the center, with our Director of Research, Dr. Kate O'Shaughnessy, and of course with Dr. Cluett. So again, this is not a one-shot opportunity. Hopefully this is a beginning of information. And Lisa, thank you for helping to explain it as clearly as you have. And thank you all for making time to join us this afternoon.
Thanks, everyone. Look forward to seeing. Applications are now open and they close just that first weekend in June, so we can get everybody started on the 5th of June. So there's plenty of time now to just fill in that form online and you'll be in the course before you know it.
Great.
Thanks, Gordon.
A few short weeks. We'll see you online. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye. Bye.